dog, I think it's time we talk about YCS Mexico and the events that happened over the weekend. In case you guys didn't know, we are 2 weeks away from a new format. But fortunately, there are actually some really important things that you need to keep up with that will affect the next format. And more importantly, there's some really cool things about this one that's happening right now that we need to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. In case you guys didn't know what today is, it's Update Monday! A particular time where I trick you into thinking that this was a Yu-Gi-Oh video, but in all honesty, it was a video to make you a better person overall. But don't worry, if for some reason you're here for just Yu-Gi-Oh, we have timestamps. So for today's Update Monday, I want to talk to you guys about something really personal. I told you guys that I was a fat lardo and I needed to be able to watch my macros, and I've been doing that. In case you guys didn't know, the only way to lose weight is to burn more calories than you consume. And what I like to do for the later portions of the fall and winter is that Cali becomes Snorlax. I eat what I want. Now that we're getting into the spring and summer and I'm watching what I'm eating, I oftentimes feel completely drained, especially during a workout. Our workouts are intense. Axe Top Deck TJ. But the main reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm pretty sure if you're doing somewhat of the same, trying to get that summer body or just needing to whip yourself back in shape, you're probably feeling the same way. Maybe a little bit cranky. Maybe you want to punch your boss in the face a little harder these days. Just understand it is your diet, and the most important thing is understanding that this is what discipline is about. It's about doing what it takes to get to your goal. And I also wanted to let you know, I'm here for you, big dog. Now go punch your boss, but make sure you got another job lined up because I ain't got you for that. And speaking of punching bosses, if Konami was mine, I probably would have punched him at least 3 or 4 times by now. Because YCS Mexico happened, it irritates me more and more to know that these huge events happen over a course of a weekend, and most people either A, don't know that they happen, or B, didn't get any coverage for it. And I guess I really shouldn't be complaining too much because that's probably the reason why you clicked on this video, but it becomes incredibly hard to find the information that you guys know about. As of making this video, which is the latest I could before sending it to my editors, I have one deck list. But fortunately enough, I get to talk to a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, and I also study the meta. There were also some other events that we're going to use to reference to talk about what makes this format unique, and more importantly, something that we can actually look back on. Fortunately enough, big dog, this video is ever evolving. Not only will I be giving you guys updated links on the deck list from YCS Mexico as we come across them, I'll also even be giving you my opinion on these strategies on Twitch when I do stream. Can't wait to talk about them. But moving on to the popular cards, we actually talked about these cards from last week's video. Some of the most powerful cards in the game have been Ally of Justice Psycho Reader and DD Crow. Ally of Justice Psycho Reader is pretty straightforward. It's amazing against Fiendsmith. But DD Crow provides an entirely different story. It actually checks the best decks in the game, while being able to banish the target that Eclipse Twins will try to special summon from the graveyard, all the way down to taking away Bestial Lubellion, which is a crazy card for Malice. And even banishing Memento Combined Creation, which will be a tough card to get back, especially if they can't use Akron's effect. In all honesty, DD Crow is insane against every single meta deck in the game, and that actually brings me to the next part of this video because I think we have a large enough analysis to talk about the best decks in the game. If I were to make an impromptu top 5, we already know that Malice and Ryzio almost get de facto wins. They're some of the better decks in the game, they're represented as equally, and the biggest thing is that they're getting support in Alliance Inside. From there, it could be considered a little tricky, but you gotta give it to Memento. Not only did it win a major YCS at the end of the format when both Ryzio and Malice were at their full power, it just won YCS Mexico too. It should not be a debate in any way, shape, or form. Memento is the best deck in the game. From there, I think Blue Eyes is hanging in there solid, but its position could be argued. I think Mermail could possibly take that spot. I also feel that White Forest and Fire Kings are complete sleepers, but Blue Eyes went completely unhit, has the pedigree, and is a strategy that only gets stronger. That 5th slot is going to be really crazy to you guys because it's having a ton of regional success and it has another top under its belt. I think that 5th slot is Crystron. Now, if you guys want me to do an in-depth analysis on why I think that those are the top 5, go ahead and let me know. but some of the biggest cards that are in the game right now are the Kashtira monsters, with Unicorn being able to banish Yugioh Detonator or those Malice monsters from the extra deck before they can get their effects, as well as the Fiendsmith cards, and Kashtira Fenrir being able to check a lot of those monsters on the field that are semi-limited, but also getting rid of those extra deck monsters that players typically only play one of. Kashtira has been huge. And if your deck can incorporate the Kashtira engine, your deck is probably doing really nice. There's also been players experimenting with other engines like Horus, and don't worry big dogs, I will provide that deck profile for you guys. Another thing to note about this YCS is that it was absolutely huge. No diddy. YCS Mexico had 1,432 players, and if you compare it to YCS Houston, which had, I think, 1,472, it's not that far off. In fact, this YCS could be considered a landmark meta-defining YCS. But let's go ahead and jump on in so we can show you some deck lists. Unfortunately, like I said, we only have one confirmed deck list from YCS Mexico, but if you look at the top decks, there are some decks that I am drooling over that I want to show you. I can't wait to talk about this Solomon Great deck, which for some reason always tops a South American event. It never fails, big dogs. It never fails. But as you can see, like I said before, there was 1,432 duelists, which you probably can't see, and the winner was Memento. Now, unfortunately, at the time of making this video, we don't have everything, but we do have this bestial Fiendsmith list, which I think is really strong. The bestial monsters are still incredible at dealing with the Fiendsmith deck. In fact, anytime when the Fiendsmith deck is one of the best strategies in the game, this strategy is pretty good. Especially considering that Branded Regain gives you coverage against Malice, which is fairly strong, and the deck can play a ton of hand traps. This is easily one of the unsung heroes when it comes into the meta. I want to give a shout out to you, Enzo L, for topping with this deck, and this is probably what you would aspire to play if you wanted to play a dragon-based Yu-Gi-Oh deck that can still compete. Now, the other deck list that I have for YCS Mexico isn't technically confirmed, but this particular player has been having so much success with this deck, I doubt that much of it has changed. Yasin is probably, actually, let me take that back. He more than likely is the best Crystron player of all time. And I have a strong feeling that this would be really close to the list that he actually topped with. Let me actually go ahead and move some of this out of the way because my big head's in the way. I know, guys, you guys don't like me right now. But as you guys can see, the Kashtira engine is incredible in this deck because he can not only use them to be able to disrupt some of the best decks in the game, making Draco Sack gives him tokens to be able to make his Chirubini, which gets him in the full Crystron combo. Also, as much as I study Yasin, he is one of my favorite players and a good friend of mine. This deck rewards you for being able to skillfully play it. It's not one of those Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that just plays by itself, but once you master the lines and learn how to play the deck, you can reward yourself any given time playing against every given deck, and is one of the biggest reasons why I think it's one of the best in the game. Now, if there are some cards that I think he may have changed out, it might be Chaos Hunter. Malice Hate isn't as strong as it used to be, and I think he might be playing cards like DD Crow or Ghost Bells and stuff like that, possibly even a bigger Kashtira engine. And fortunately enough, at the time of making this video, the YCS champion just posted too. So we'll be able to show you the new Memento deck that just went #1 overall. The YCS winner is not playing Mementos plus Goblin, unlike the last version of Memento that we saw win YCS Houston. It does make more sense with less Yugioh decks running around. The Goblin Biker monsters don't provide that much of a purpose, but this deck is still really powerful. Using Moon of the Closed Heaven to be able to link summon into Fiendsmith sequence to then fusion summon into Berferment to gain its effects is pretty powerful. Not only can it send a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion, which this deck does have some of all of it, it also allows you to be able to special summon a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster from your banishment. I think with more decks like Memento in the meta, Yu-Gi-Oh is starting to become a lot more balanced. Yu-Gi-Oh strategies are starting to diversify themselves on the hand traps that they do and don't play, and the cards that they use. Another regional that just so happened to happen was the Pittsboro Regional that had 262 duelists. Looking at Fiendsmith, Kashtira, Bestial, what the heck is this, Brody? It's all of the concepts we talked about. It takes Fiendsmith Bestial and goes a little bit further because not only are these cards great interruptions, they also just so happen to be full Fiendsmith combo with Birth being able to special summon them back. I think that this will probably be one of the best anti-meta like choices for the Yu-Gi-Oh strategy right now, and it's simply because it does have so many answers and is a deck that can consistently keep playing. And as you guys can always see, there's still those choices of Ghost Bell and the Charmy cards in here. I think that those cards might be here to stay. Malcolm McNeil in his Malice Bestial Fiendsmith Horus deck. This is exactly what I feared Malice decks would become, because you can just fit as many link monsters that you can in this deck, seeing that its lock is pretty much only link monsters. You kind of goon out with the links and get whatever you want. The Horus monsters are a nice addition. I could kind of see it. The Horus monsters can discard the Malice monsters, with the Bestial monsters can summon. It's also food for Ash Blossom, which allows your Fiendsmith cards to pop off. But then there's cards like Chaos Betrayer in here. What are we doing? I'm not gonna lie, if somebody submitted this to me for a deck doctor, I would have told them it's bad. But it goes to show that different decks come in different packages. That's not the word. If you're skilled enough, you can win games. I mean, I guess that's true. Don't trust the TheCaliEffect. Believe in Chaos Betrayer, and that grass looks greener. I think that's the better one. No, but seriously, this is such a wacky Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and oh my god, it's so fun to watch. But yeah, I can see Dark Ruler no more making a comeback. There's still DD Crows and Ghost Bells. Overall, hey, congratulations on your first place, big dog. I know your opponent did not see this coming. Or second place, my apologies. Lastly is them Fire King boys. I just gotta show you to let you know, best deck, baby. There's not much of a huge change for Fire Kings in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, but we gotta show my boys because this deck is just too strong. I think overall, the big point that I want to drive home for YCS Mexico is that while we won't be in this format very long, we actually have a YCS in this format. So years later down in the future, this format could be explored like how Edison was. There is a potential possibility that this may be one of the balanced modern formats that we've ever seen. With so many strategies still being figured out and other strategies still topping, it could be fun to look back at this format and say, hey, this was a modern day mecha, a format that was really good, a phenomenal one. But again, big dogs, I really want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think about what happened at YCS Mexico and the events alike? And what decks are you excited to hear me talk about? Until then, class, you guys should already know what to do. Go to TheCaliEffect.com to pick up your Raven Wing sleeves today. Best sleeves in the entire planet. And we also have those restock of those rubber mats that you've been gooning over. And also be sure to check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.